This is Weaver's Beyond the Numbers Real Estate Podcast. I'm Rob Nowak, real estate industry tax partner with Weaver, and I'm joined by my always partner and collaborator, Howard Altshuler, Weaver's partner in charge of real estate services. Long weekend ahead of us. Howard is going to be off golfing or engaging in some other sort of shenanigans. Like all other tax people, I'll be right here in the office working on tax returns, Howard, like one of Santa's elves on December 24th. This podcast is intended for informational and obviously entertainment purposes. Nothing said here constitutes professional advice. You have a question, call Weaver for help. You can always go to weaver.com to find our content, white papers, live casts, and more. That's weaver.com. Today's topic, climate change and adaptability.
Right. So, we just witnessed a really bad hurricane hitting the Gulf Coast last weekend and early part of this week, with remnants that have traveled across the country and are having some impacts on the East Coast.
Right.
Actually, we were talking to one of our tax partners in New York who told me he's going to his brother's house in Brooklyn to help drain a flooded basement due to the issues going on. And, regardless of your position on climate change and such, it's pretty much given that storms and weather events are getting worse and worse and worse. Maybe we're in some type of cycle where they'll get better, but maybe they're in a cycle where they're going to continue to get worse. So I see that there's a couple of different ways that people can approach this. There's a lot of people working on carbon neutral impacts, a lot of people working on trying to slow things down from a global warming perspective. But also, we also have to take into account the reality of the situation and say, okay, maybe we can reverse things. Maybe we can slow things down, but maybe we're at a point where we have to accept what's happened so far, what's going to continue to happen, maybe from weather event standpoint, and become more adaptable to it. We're building real estate today that's going to be here in 30, 40, 50, 100 years. And so should we be planning for the fact that there could be more extreme weather events, more, shall we say, stresses on properties, on real estate, and start to build that into our designing and construction?
And I think, it's not a political issue. I mean, these weather stresses, I think you used a good phrase there, these weather stresses, not only put a strain on the assets themselves. So I think certainly there's going to be an eye towards building, constructing assets that are more sustainable against wind, against flood, against saltwater erosion, as we saw, with some condo buildings in the Florida area. But also these changes impact